Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Golden Astrologer Podcast. This is Deb McBride, and it is Sunday, February 23rd in the year 2025, and I am recording this lovely podcast from beautiful, fabulous Escazú, Costa Rica. And we have a lot to talk about because lots of things are happening this week. So, firstly and foremost, the number one thing that is happening tonight, in 2 hours from now, from when I'm recording this podcast, is that Mars is finally going direct. Okay? Mars has finished its retrograde. It is stationing. It is moving forward. It is now done after 2.5 months, nearly 3 months retrograde. It went retrograde on December 6th, which was a Friday, last December in 2024. And it's been retrograde ever since. And it has been an interesting ride, I think, for everyone. And it certainly is a call now to own your power, to own your confidence, to step forward in the things that you have been wanting to do, that you need to initiate, that you're going to start initiating again after this period of non-initiation of new things. It's been business as usual for sure, but to take something new in your hands it's not been the case, because as I have suggested to people, it's been a complicated time to initiate, because that's what Mars does. It's an initiation planet. It starts things. It lights fires. And what it's not doing is lighting fires when it's retrograde, right? It's going backwards. It appears to be going backwards from our vantage point on the Earth. So we are now able to start initiating things. And I know people in my life who've been waiting, chomping at the bit for this day, for tomorrow, for them to start something and initiate something and create something new. And I have to say, in these last couple of days, I have really felt things shifting. I can already feel it shifting, even though it's not, we still have a few more hours, and it's going to be wobbly. It's not going to be like, hey, 8 o'clock tonight in my time, because it's 9 o'clock tonight in Eastern time, we're going to just all jump forward. No, it's like the next day or so, we're stepping forward and we're moving forward, but energies are going to be, it's going to be a little wobbly. We're going to move forward, but it's taking its time to really get speed. It's going to take a while for Mars to get back to where it was. It retrograded at 6 degrees of Leo, and it's back at like 17 degrees of Cancer now. So it's got to go halfway through the sign of Cancer into the first 6 degrees of Leo. We're not going to get there for a while. So we have time. We step forward. We step carefully. We walk forward in the path that we've chosen, the direction that we want, and we keep moving. Okay? We've kept moving all along, but not in the same sense, And I'm glad it's going direct. It always feels good when Mars goes direct, And what I like is that I'm feeling it. I've been feeling confidence coming back. I'm feeling energy coming back. I'm feeling motivation coming back. I'm feeling that energy is starting to really move forward again, and it's in the air. It's in the air. So this is it. We've been waiting for this. We've been talking about this. We've been discussing all the Mars retrograde things that have happened. We've been patient with ourselves, and it's it did require a bunch of patience, just because look, Mars is an impatient kind of energy, and when it goes backwards, we have no choice. We have no choice but to just wait, and sometimes waiting really serves us. I've had things that I've had to do in these last months, and they were important, but I managed to work with the energies available to me. So there were things I did want to push forward on, and I couldn't, because it just wasn't available. And not even because I was saying, ooh, it's Mars retrograde, just because I was taking the necessary steps I needed to take on the path that I was doing. And things weren't opening up. And as a result, the things that I needed to do were happening now and in these last days when it was stationing, and then like this week coming up, and I'm getting excited for Mars going direct. This is very positive. It's always positive. It's going to be a relief. So feel it. Feel into what Mars has been for you. What has it done for you? Where is it retrograde in your chart? Where is the middle of the sign of Cancer in your astrological chart? This is something that we are, wanting to recognize, so we can, hindsight's always 2020. So while it's going on, there are certain things that we've been working on, achieving, focusing on, but it's all sort of been hanging in the air. So where did it really feel like now it's starting to pop? When you look back with your 2020 hindsight, what are you feeling? Where have you been? What has it been like for you? And what have you set out to accomplish and taken the steps towards, and how have you occupied yourself in these months? And did you feel like you got some wisdom from this time period, and the wisdom of waiting, the connection to having patience, the wisdom of really following the energy? Okay, so that's something that's been very important for now. Okay. So that's one thing. That's the first big thing happening tonight. The other things, okay, we're going to skip to some bigger stuff later in the week. Thursday, the 27th, we have a new moon at 9 degrees of Pisces. This is very lovely. It's the sun and the moon connecting, being together at 9 degrees of Pisces. So I happen to have Venus at 9 degrees Pisces, so that's nice for me. And it's about really moving your energy forward as far as, again, here we are initiating things. It's a new moon. Right now we're in the dark of the moon. If you want to wait to initiate something till after the new moon on Thursday, the 27th, which occurs at 7:45 p.m. Eastern Time, you can do that. But, I think it's safe to say we've been waiting long enough, and it's a good thing to just start getting together on things that we've been holding off on in these months. So the new moon starts a new cycle. And we are in the sign of Pisces, as we started that last week. And we are looking at this very lovely new moon. Pisces is a lovely sign. It is peace. It is healing. It is sensitivity, visionary, imagination. And our imagination is so powerful. Our imagination is so powerful. And what we can imagine and feel into. Pisces is a very feeling sign. So if you want to create, which is also another Pisces word, create something in your life that's new, that's juicy, that's sensitive, that's colorful, that's visionary, you can feel into it. Feel into what it is you want to draw to you, what you want to magnetize, what you want to manifest. Manifestation is really one of those words now that's all over, certainly social media. And, we get it, at least I do in my feed, because I'm an astrologer and this is what I do. And I follow people who are spiritual and people that talk about manifestation. And so this is something I see a lot rolling across my feed, especially on Instagram. And there's a lot about manifestation, and what it really requires. You can't just manifest. I'm just going to manifest. Sometimes you do. Sometimes things happen somewhat unconsciously, but you want to feel into a life and a sense and a beauty of this energy of Pisces that can help you bring something new, magnetize something new into your life. That's what this new moon is all about. Really sensing into, creating that vision, being part of your imagination with it. Really tap into your imagination so that you're feeling something deep and moving and new. That's the job of the new moon, right? So this is something we want to practice. It's a great tool. if nothing else, you can practice feeling into something, and hopefully it's something good, because you want to bring good things into your life. Now, certainly we can run through bad things. Oh, I can just imagine when I talk to my mother-in-law, this is what's going to happen, and I know what she's going to say, and it's going to feel like this, and I'm going to... Don't worry about that. That's not what don't scratch on that potentiality, okay? Don't knock on the door of that potentiality. Try to work with the energies that are deeply meaningful to you, and the things you want to bring into your life that are meaningful. And what is it that's meaningful to you? You know, Pisces, it's not just I'm shrugging my shoulders. I don't know, maybe I'll manifest a new car. No, it's what is truly meaningful to us, and what is truly beautiful, and a vision that we want to hold in our lives, and that experience of the vision. So feel it, taste it, smell the air of it. Is it full of roses? Is it full of herbs? Is it sandalwood? What does it feel like, sense like, taste like, smell like? When you have that sense, that's when things start to really come to you, okay? So this is a beautiful thing, a new moon in Pisces. We like this. This new moon in Pisces is an interesting new moon in Pisces, because it's not just any old new moon in Pisces. It is the new moon that opens the door to the eclipse period. So it is not an eclipse, okay? It is the lunation that occurs prior to the eclipse. So what we're doing now is we are preparing ourselves for the energy of the eclipses. Eclipses are very powerful, right? Eclipses are very powerful, and we know that they are deeply powerful. And so this is why it's good to do this feeling into what you want to manifest, create, okay? Because it's Pisces. Now, when we have the eclipse, it will be March 14th, which is not for a few weeks. It'll be March 14th, and it's a full moon at 23 degrees Virgo, and it is the same day that Mercury goes retrograde for the next time, okay? So that week's podcast, which I'll do on Sunday the 9th, it is going to be chock full of juicy tidbits about the eclipses. And we're going to be talking about that eclipse and what it feels like. It will be a full moon in Virgo, because the sun will be in Pisces. So the sun is in Pisces now. Because we're having a new moon, the moon will join it in Pisces. And that is, this lovely sense of magnetizing beauty, peace, healing. I want to manifest peace and healing, right? Don't you? And then, 2 weeks later, we have an eclipse. So this is the swing in the door open lunation. This is the lunation that brings in eclipses. So, okay, that's the first thing. Now, when there is one eclipse, there's two eclipses. So there'll be one on the 14th, and there'll be one on the 28th of March. We're not in March yet. We're not. It's February 23rd. So we've still got another week of February. This is the last week of February, and that eclipse isn't until mid-March. So we are working on focusing on the moment with Mars going direct. But my job is to let you know that eclipse season is starting. So, and people are just going to, they're just going to throw their hands in the air after hearing me talk about this. But Mars is going direct. Start things this week now, okay? Do things this week now, because you know what I always say, don't start anything new between two eclipses. And that's the 14th to the 28th of March. So we don't have a lot of time to, heed that warning. I'm telling you now because we're going to start the eclipse period. And even so, even when the eclipses are, like we're revving up for eclipses and we're in that lunation period, it's not ultimately amazing to start something then, but I think it's better to do it before any eclipse occurs. So from March 14th to March 28th, that is the eclipse corridor. And that is what we want to be aware of, because anything started then usually it just doesn't take root, or it doesn't have seeds, or it doesn't grow into your plant. And so you really don't want to plant new seeds in between two eclipses. My teacher used to call this time, a time of miscarriage, because it's you're planting something and it doesn't have space to grow. It's not the fertile soil that we want when we want to plant our fruit trees, right? So nobody wants to hear me say this. Nobody wants to hear me say, no, don't start anything new again. And we were talking about, a lot of times I've been talking about the first part of this year being complicated for starting things. However, if you want more information on the eclipses and all about the good times to start things and when to be cautious, then you should purchase my masterclass from December called The Liminal Labyrinth. 2025, The Liminal Labyrinth. It's $55 and it's chock full of juicy information about this 2025 year and everything that we're going to be experiencing. So I highly recommend it. It will give you an overview. I can give you the video once you purchase it from my website, thegoldenastrologer.com. And I highly recommend it. It's really helpful, and it should give you some calendar dates for yourself as we move forward in this year. Now, there's another thing we have to talk about, and you know what I'm going to say because I've been talking about it before, and what's coming down the road here is Venus. Venus is going retrograde Saturday, March 1st, and that is at 7:36 p.m. Eastern Time. That is next Saturday. That is a week from yesterday. Today's Sunday, and so less than a week from today, less than a week after Mars goes direct from retrograde, Venus will be turning retrograde. She is retrograde. She'll be retrograding at 10 degrees of Aries. Aries is not her favorite sign because she likes to be in Libra, as I have said before. She rules Libra. Aries is not where she is at her best. Although you will see women such as Marilyn Monroe and Elizabeth Taylor, who were goddesses of the screen, and they both had Venus in Aries. They were clearly sex symbols of their time and, very beautiful, incredible women. However, look at their love lives. Look at Elizabeth Taylor's love life. That's a story in and of itself alone. So it's not great for love relationships. It's not great for marriages. It's not the greatest placement for Venus. But we are dealing with it going back into Pisces. So Venus is going to go retrograde in Aries, and then sometime in March it will go back into Pisces, and we'll be talking about that as well. But there's the do's and don'ts of Venus retrograde, just like there were for Mars retrograde. And people who want new relationships, this isn't, again, it's not a great time to start a new relationship. Personal, business. Venus is about money. You don't want to start a new business partnership during a Venus retrograde. It's complicated. Now, if you're getting back together with an old partner in business, well, sure. If you guys said, hey, I've got a great idea. Let's restart our business that we did. It was such a good business, but other things distracted us and we had to shut down for a while. We want to move forward again with that business. Well, yeah, that would be great. So that's okay. You can but you probably need some momentum, and Venus retrograde may not give you that, but you can start making the plans to relaunch your old business. It's again, it's the re's. The reviews, the revisits, the revising, the reimagining. This is Venus retrograde. Any retrogrades are the re's, but the inner planets are the ones that seem to affect us the most, because the other planets, from Jupiter on out, they're retrograde for 4 to 6 months of the year, depending on the planet. And so we're used to that. Half the population is born with one of those planets in retrograde. So, we're looking at the inner planets, and of course I just mentioned Mercury retrograde, so Venus is going to go retrograde. 2 weeks later, Mercury's going to go retrograde. They're going to be retrograde at the same time. And then Mercury will go direct, and then Venus will go direct. But this is a heavily retrograde time, and I had said this in the Liminal Labyrinth Masterclass, and I talked about this earlier, in my podcast, if you've been listening regularly. So we're getting rid of Mars retrograde, but we're walking into Venus retrograde, and this is... again, you don't start the fires of love in a retrograde Venus. It doesn't necessarily feed the fire. It doesn't give that passion. It's like, meh, yeah, they're okay. I like them. I don't love them. Have fun. If you want to date and go out and have fun, that's fine. Don't take it seriously. Don't get your hopes up. Just have fun. Some astrologers, especially on Instagram, will say, don't text your ex. Yeah, it's not good to call in the past. If it shows up on its own, that's a different matter. You go into a cafe and it's your ex-husband. You go into a supermarket and it's your ex-boyfriend, your ex-wife, it's your ex, whoever your ex happens to be, your ex-business partner. It's not a time for rekindling the divorce, the aftermath of the divorce. It's not. It's really something. You may have to deal with some financial matters relative to your divorce. You may have to deal with, children matters with your ex. But, property matters, anything, Venus, that's all Venus, property, money, all of that, financial matters with your ex. That can be dealt with, of course. That's a good time to deal with it. You can go back and review things. It's also a really good time to review your finances, work with things financially. And again, I wouldn't recommend like brand new businesses starting during Venus retrograde. I wouldn't take on brand new creative projects during Venus retrograde. If it's a client that you've worked with in the past. So my friends here have a branding business, and, sometimes old clients come back. And that happens to a lot of people. An old client comes back, yeah, that's okay. Great. So like they're very creative in their branding business, so they might be able to reach a new level of creativity and review what they've done in the past with that person. And if you want to revise your website, fine. Don't launch a brand new one. If you want to revise your decor at home, that's a good idea. You want to reinvent your brand identity. Well, that's good to work on while you're in Venus retrograde. Anything that causes revision or going back to something, okay? We don't want to encourage old stories to sit in our lives and blow up our lives again. Like, especially if you've gotten out of an old story, you don't really want to go back to something that was hard and complicated to contend with, So we want to really work with Venus's energy. Now, I've talked about this before. I'm going to mention it again. We're going to be talking about this a lot. Once Venus goes back in April, and she goes way back, she's not going direct till April 13th or so. She's going to go back to Saturn. She passed Saturn a few weeks ago. She's going to go back to Saturn. And she's going to go back to Neptune. She's going to go back to Saturn. But Saturn's important because she's going to stay with Saturn for most of April. Now, this is great for digging into your business and, getting into the core of things and knowing that you've got new ideas that you want to flesh out for your business, and you want to kind of dig in and work hard with your business. Saturn's hard work. Saturn is just work, right? So maybe you want to work through some things in your business. Venus and Saturn could be really good for that. Digging in and thinking about how you'd like to take your business to the next level, right? Thinking about your business and how it's working, going over the finances of your business, looking at your business or your creative projects and saying, okay, this succeeded very well. We want to take a look at this some more and go deeper with like more projects like this. Reinventing your business, your brand identity, those kinds of things work well when Venus and Saturn are together because we are sort of refocusing. Saturn's all about focus and commitment. We're refocusing on how we can put our energies back into our business in a new way, or in a call back some old ideas, or use some tactics that worked in the past. Just work with your ideas and your business. If you can focus on your work during April and really stay attached to that and deal with things, well, then certainly you could bear fruit from this. This could be really, really very good. And I really recommend that's where you take this energy. So that's something important. but we have a lot of time to talk about that. That's not going to be for another couple months, month and a half. I recommend you just keep that in the back of your mind, on your calendar. Make sure you know that in April, it's time to buckle down and recommit and think through some business things and your relationships. If your relationships are causing drama or something, then you want to rethink them as well, and you want to work more on them. Maybe you need to sort of step back with your partner and work hard on your relationships and your communication, because Mercury is going to be retrograde too. So it's going to be an interesting ride, March and April. Okay, so we're working towards these things, and astrologers, I'm finding online when I look this up, I'm finding like, yes, Venus will conjunct Saturn 3 times. Well, she did one already, and then she's going to conjunct Saturn 2 more times. Exactitude, yes, exactitude, she's going to conjunct 2 more times. But we're going to feel the conjunction all of April because it's so close. It's not like she's moving 10 degrees away. She's moving a fraction of a part away from Saturn and coming right back again. So this is important. This is detail oriented. This is, really staying focused and clear on what we need to do. Our responsibilities are calling us. If we stay responsible during this time, we'll be successful. So lots to talk about. But right now we're going to talk about Mercury. Mercury is going to conjunct Saturn on the 25th of February, this Tuesday. It's going to be at 7:02 a.m. on Tuesday, and they're in Pisces. So Mercury's going to come back to Saturn too. It may not come back as strongly as Venus, and Venus is slower than Mercury, so Mercury and Saturn are going to meet more times, and it's going to be close enough. So there's going to be a point where it's like Neptune, Mercury, Saturn, North Node, Venus, and that's a lot. That's a big cluster in Pisces. So pay attention to this Mercury. It has information for us. We're going to be working with it. So pay attention to that. Mercury is then going to be sextiling Uranus, and that's Thursday the 27th, the day that we have the new moon. That's going to be at 4:38 a.m. Brilliant ideas, shaking things up, epiphanies, breakthroughs. That's what we want. And new moons are good for breakthroughs too. So we want to encourage some breakthroughs this week. This could really help us out going forward. And then there's Venus, of course, on Saturday, 7:36 p.m. She goes retrograde. And on Sunday, we have a couple of things. We have Mercury conjunct Neptune. So, Saturn and Neptune are both in Pisces, and Mercury and Venus are both going to be talking with both of those planets. So this is another piece of information that we're going to be receiving 11:22 a.m. Eastern Time on Sunday the 2nd. You want to pay attention to that Mercury-Neptune conjunction as you want to pay attention to Mercury and Saturn. Mercury has information. He's talking to Saturn. He's going to Neptune. He's going to have some information about how we're going to proceed through this retrograde, right? And he's coming back to Neptune for sure. So, these are things we have to really, really mark down, do some journaling, write about what Mercury's telling you this week, because these themes are going to be part of a story that we're going to be seeing later on in the weeks ahead. Then the Sun in Pisces will square Jupiter in Gemini. And Jupiter is still in Gemini and will be for a little while. And this is, an expansive aspect, expanding our vitality. It's a great time to do healing work. Great time for healing work. It's a great time for meditation. It's a great time for doing things for your self-care, like a massage, like acupuncture, like going to see your doctor, like doing a new medicine protocol, vitamin protocol, anything you need. But this is good. It's an expansive thing. It's also good for, creativity. This is all coming, of course, around the same time Venus goes retrograde. So, maybe time to step back and look at some things. And we are really, in the throes of some interesting astrology right now. So pay attention. Think about it. The energy is flowing. The energy is flowing. Even if it's retrograde Venus, it's still flowing in a direction, and we need to look at that and stay with it, Everything's energy. Everything really is around us. It's energy. We want to create things in the field And when things are created in the field, they become matter later. Okay, so we're energy. Everything around us is energy. Our words are energy. The planets have energy. And your emotions have energy. So you want to be working with your emotions, especially during a Venus retrograde, right? The other day, I went out of town last week. I went to Bocas del Toro in Panama, and my friend helped me book the trip. My friend, and this is an energetic conversation, my friend helped me book the trip, and she was here with me back in January when we were sitting here booking the trip, and she was like helping me find things, places to stay, and all Airbnbs and things. And she was very generous with her time with me booking my trip, helping me book my trip. She happens to like skulls. You know, she's one of those persons that collects things that have skulls on them and stuff like that. She's not like a hardcore person, but she likes skulls. And one time for Christmas, I gave her a notebook with tiny little skulls all over it. It was very pretty. So her energy was part of my trip, inevitably, because she was helping me book things. And wouldn't you know, everywhere there were so many skulls. There was a place where I was staying. Across the street from it was a bar and restaurant called Scully's. And it's this guy, and I think he was American. But it was his place, and of course the t-shirts had skulls on them. The pool had a skull on it. There were skulls, and he's, oh yeah, my nickname's always been Scully, da 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 da. And it's his nickname, and it's got skulls everywhere, and it was hilarious. I'm like, this is her energy. Because I went other places and I saw like candles that were skulls. They were pretty skulls. They weren't like biker skulls. And I saw soaps that were skulls, and I actually bought her a soap that was a skull. It was really hilarious. I thought, her energy is here. And I came home and I said, you know what? I didn't give her gift yet, but I sensed your energy. Like, you were really instrumental in booking this trip with me. And your energy was all over my trip. So this is the life of energy this is what it looks like in our lives. When we bring people into something, their energy is going to be present in that. If you are making a dinner party and your friend is working with you on that dinner party, their energy is inevitably in the dinner party. If you're taking a vacation and your friend is there taking vacation with you or helping you book your vacation, their energy is part of that. It's part of the experience. And it's interesting, like I said, you know, it's energy first, and then it becomes matter. And that's exactly what happened. I saw her energy become matter. This is, you know, something she likes. It's some people like other symbols. She likes skulls. So this is pretty hilarious. But that's the way it works. So when we have things in the field, they become matter if we keep them strongly enough in the field. So don't scratch that potentiality in the field that you don't want to manifest, okay? Keep, positive vibes and keep your energy high. Keep your thoughts high. Keep your emotional life clean, I put something on Instagram. My Instagram's the Golden Astrologer. I put something on Instagram the other day about processing our emotions, and they will literally save our lives. And it really is the truth. Our emotions are so powerful. So we want to keep them clean. We want to keep everything squeaky clean as we work through things, And it's important to process emotions, not to just shove them under the carpet. So yes, the Golden Astrologer is my podcast. TheGoldenAstrologer.com is my website. The Golden Astrologer is my Instagram. And you can join me in Golden Astrologer Expansion Mentoring if you'd like to do that. That's also available on my website. And my website has a book now or book online button you just click on, and it gives you all the options. That's where you can buy the Liminal Labyrinth. That's where you can sign up for a session with me, whether astrology or Reiki. And it's also where you can start your journey of expansion mentoring with me, 3 months, 6 months, 12 months. And it's great because expansion mentoring gives you so much more time with me, and we work through different like NLP exercises from my coaching certification that I've done, and we look at some astrology, and we do whatever is in my toolkit that is necessary to bring forward to advance your life and help you fall in love with your life. I love all of you. I am grateful for all of you. I wish you a beautiful Mars direct. Let's celebrate. Start celebrating Mars direct. and get some things accomplished this week that you've been waiting for as we move into Miss Venus going retrograde. Gratitude to everyone. Thank you for listening, and I will see you on the internet.